A very good evening and a very warm welcome to our first edition of UBC News Tonight on this 19th day of March 2026. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, and on sign language you do have my colleague Dorothy Namuyomba. Now, before we delve into tonight's news bulletin, let's first take a look at the top stories tonight. And in our top stories tonight, Muslims across the globe to celebrate Eid Day this Friday. First Lady commends 50 years of EU partnership. Court denies bail to SSP Nixon Agasirwe. And fuel prices continue on an upward trend. Good evening once again. The First Lady and Minister of Education and Sports, Mrs. Janet Museveni, has commended the strong and long-standing partnership between Uganda and the European Union as the two sides prepare to mark 50 years of bilateral cooperation. She expressed gratitude for the EU's continued support towards changing the quality of life of Ugandans through various initiatives, including programs focused on skills development, employment, entrepreneurship and private sector development, as well as social protection efforts targeting women and youth. We have more.
Mrs. Museveni reaffirmed Uganda's commitment to strengthening its partnership with the European Union, expressing optimism for continued collaboration in the years ahead.
We do thank God for the long-standing partnership with EU, and we thank you for holding hands with us in our endeavor to change the quality of life of our people. We really can't thank you enough, and we hope that this partnership will continue and it will improve and it will become bigger as we build the global village.
She also welcomed the upcoming EU-Uganda Research and Study Fair, describing it as timely and beneficial to Uganda's education sector.
I'm happy now to hear about the EU-Uganda Study Fair that you are organizing this year, which will bring together higher education institutions and showcase study and research opportunities available to Ugandan students.
The study fair, scheduled for June 4th at Makerere University, is being positioned as a flagship activity in celebrations marking 50 years of cooperation between Uganda and the European Union. On education infrastructure, the First Lady assured the delegation that the ministry would fast-track coding approval for 6 schools to enable infrastructure development under ongoing EU-supported programs. The EU ambassador described the 50th year of bilateral cooperation between the European Union and Uganda as a milestone that offers an important opportunity to celebrate and further strengthen the long-standing partnership.
And this initiative, the study fair, it aims to bring together European and Ugandan higher education institutions, obviously, to promote academic mobility and to showcase study and research opportunities available to Ugandan students and universities through our programs, the Erasmus Plus program that I think you are aware of, and other complementary European Union member states programs.
Makerere University is very happy to host the fair at our grounds for many reasons. After the government of Uganda, the largest research funding for Makerere University comes from the European Union. Currently, we have more than 45 projects running funded by the European Union. Okay. If Makerere University has finally recovered her position worldwide as a top research university, it is because of the support that we get from partners, particularly the European Union.
The ambassador further highlighted key EU-supported initiatives in Uganda, including the £114 million Gender for Development program, which focuses on girls' education, life skills development, and the prevention of gender-based violence in northern Uganda. Reporting for UBC, Baguma William.
The Defence and Internal Affairs Committee have concluded consultations on the Forensic and Scientific Analytical Services Bill 2025, where they agreed with some of the amendments made as guided by the Auditor General to ensure it does not affect the constitutional mandates of other government agencies. While presenting the harmonized bill as guided by the Attorney General, State Minister for Internal Affairs, General David Muhoozi, said the bill states that accreditation for laboratories will be voluntary rather than mandatory.
Officials from the Ministry of Internal Affairs, Police and Government Analytical Laboratory have appeared before the Committee of Defence and Internal Affairs to present the harmonised copy of the Forensic and Scientific Analytical Services Bill 2025 as guided by the Office of the Attorney General. Issues that needed harmonisation raised by the Office of the Directorate of Public Prosecution, Uganda Police and the Sectoral Committee on Defence and Internal Affairs included the scope and jurisdiction of the bill. On the issue of overlap with mandates of agencies such as Uganda Police and National Identification and Registration Authority (NIRA), State Minister for Internal Affairs General David Muhoozi says the bill does not seek to replace existing biometrics and identification databases, but rather to supplement them with scientific and forensic data.
The database is not open-ended, but will be provided through a formal request process, ensuring that only relevant agencies and competent authorities can obtain data. This controlled access strengthens interagency cooperation, minimizes risks of duplication or conflict, and ensures that sensitive information is used appropriately.
The chairperson of the committee, Kajwenge Wilson, asked for clarification on registration of laboratories within the bill, inquiring whether Uganda Police will also need to register afresh to conduct forensic services.
Addresses that. If you look at 12.6 of the bill, the gazetted bill, it answers your question, Honorable Chair. It says that this section, that requirement, shall not apply to analytical laboratories registered or regulated under any other law.
No, that is 6.
So those laboratories that are already regulated, and I think the...
Members of Parliament also asked why the Attorney General guided that accreditation of laboratories be voluntary, and officials explained that it is to the advantage of the other laboratories that may not afford costs.
I saw the Attorney General brush it, just the issue of accreditation for ISO accreditation. Does he refer it as not mandatory, but only as best practice? Yes, I agree.
I think he looked at once you make these requirements mandatory, some of them can be extremely costly for these other labs, the other players within the section. So you'll find yourself locking out very many other laboratories, some of them which are already in existence.
Aspiration to aspire for, but when you make it binding, actually now you are going to force people, conscript them, unless you go to GAL, which is ISO accredited, then your evidence is not admissible. You are actually doing the reverse of what we are trying to avoid.
The Attorney General guided that Clause 22.1a and 22.2 of the bill on collection and voluntary taking of samples be maintained in its current state.
To maintain Clause 221a and 222 of the bill as currently provided, premised on the following justification: that while the majority of samples analyzed by GAL are indeed submitted by clients or other agencies, There are circumstances where a girl may be directed by a court of law or a government agency to collect a sample for purposes of forensic analysis. Further, Clause 222 of the bill adequately addresses this concern as it empowers authorized officers to take samples without consent, including through a court order or other lawful authority.
This issue of compliance with WHO poison center standards also had contention as provisions in the bill clashed with the constitutional mandate of Ministry of Health. Attorney General advised that Clause 30 be amended to include the word control center.
Matters of public health risks and concerns, they say that's their mandate. But you see, this law brings it now under the ambit of internal affairs.
Of health by avoiding to take on any clinical role. What we do, we've been doing, and we are now trying to put it in the law, is that to say that so and so has poisoned, the poison substance was A. How you diagnose and treat is.
She was careful not to go into the mandate of treatment, but somebody who is able to, to advise on the technical issues regarding poisons. Because as we know, poisons evolve and they come in several ways and forms. And therefore, he looked at the laws and said, indeed, we need to have this control center, and hence.
These are the last consultations for the Forensic and Scientific Services Bill in the Committee of Defense and Internal Affairs. I'm Nafka Farida and Gloria Gwitabinji at Parliament.
High Court Judge Isaac Mwata has declined to grant bail to SSP Nixon Agasirwe, who is accused in the murder of Lauryn Masika Kazimoto on grounds that he did not present exceptional circumstances to justify his release. The court was also of the view that Agasirwe has a large number of pending criminal files, which suggests a pattern of criminal conduct.
At around 11:30 a.m., the former Special Police Commander SSP Nixon Agasirwe was already at High Court Criminal Division in Kampala before Judge Isaac Mwata to hear his bail ruling. SSP Nixon Agasirwe is faced with one count of murdering Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, which offences he faces with Samjo Abdul Nur alias Minana. Before Judge Isaac Mwata, after perusing both sides' submissions, he denied SSP Nixon Agasirwe's bail application.
The court has carefully weighed the applicant's constitutional right to liberty and his history of compliance with the previous controversial proceedings. However, this must be balanced against the gravity of the current murder charge and the multiple active capital investigations cited by the state. The failure to substantively explain the status of these active investigations.
Judge Isaac Mwata added that following the pending criminal files against the accused and other files which are still under investigations, the accused Agasirwe can't be granted bail.
Combined with the fact that the applicant has now been committed for trial and the fact that the applicant has not proved the exceptional circumstances that justify his release on bail, creates an unacceptably high risk that the English of justice will be prejudiced by his release at this stage. Accordingly, the application for bail is hereby dismissed. So order.
According to court records, basing on Agasirwe's character and antecedents, although he claims to be a law-abiding citizen, the prosecution reviewed a list of capital offences under investigations, among others kidnap with intent to murder, aggravated robbery and murder that happened in Masaka, and a list enrichment file pending against him at CID. SSP Nixon Agasirwe applying for bail, alleged being his constitutional right, being a first-time offender, advanced age of 54, and that he has a permanent place of abode. However, all the grounds were objected by the prosecution, led by the Assistant Director of Public Prosecution Richard Billy Vomboka. Trouble for Nixon Agasirwe started following the evidence in chief by Ewan Kiseka, a convict, in the murder case of Assistant DPP Lauryn Masika Kazimoto, who pinned the SSP Nixon Agasre to have been the mastermind behind the murder of Lauryn Masika Kazimoto. The evidence in the International War Crimes Division Court led to the arrest of Nixon Agasre and Ewan Abdulnur Semuju alias Minana by security operatives Deborah Namamonde. Viola Nansubugai, UBC News.
The Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has called for increased funding to Mbara Regional Referral Hospital to improve health service delivery to the people that it serves. The committee noted that the hospital operated on a budget of 17.9 billion shillings for the financial year 2024-25, yet it serves a population of over 6 million people, including refugees.
Because we want you to protect the gains seriously.
Officials from Mbara Regional Referral Hospital appeared before the Public Accounts Committee to respond to accountability queries raised in the Auditor's General Report for the financial year ending 2025.
Then we spend. NTR is later receipted.
It was revealed that the hospital operates under severe constraints, including limited space. The facility also lacks essential equipment, including wheelchairs for over 10 years and X-ray services.
You see how burdened our patients are. Just imagine for that period when you didn't have an X-ray.
Yeah.
I come to Mbara Regional Referral Hospital, no X-ray services. Now you are told to go to Mbara town and not to accommodate patients in a tent. And you ably said that even mothers who have given birth are also part of the ones that are accommodated in a tent as a ward. That is purely unacceptable and far below standard.
You have so many equipment laying non-functional just because there is nobody who is responsible for that.
Committee members also questioned hospital officials over the failure to utilize over 600 million shillings meant for pension and gratuity and other expenditures.
Tell us how you used it, since you have had that building which has stood for a very long time, whatever. But give us those correspondences between you and the Accountant General, so that we take it up from there.
It comes to this 692 million that you didn't spend. Underutilization of warrants. That is 3.11. Can you speak to why didn't we? This is under human capital, administrative and support services, hospital management support services. What happened? What?
We had a delay of the constitution of the new Health Service Commission. Then the Minister of Public Service halted the original plan of retiring all of them after the abolition of the office.
Hospital officials, led by the accounting officer Dr. Deus Twesige, responded to the queries.
We had an increment on the side of the drugs, and we received some good surprise. I'm very happy to announce that now we have all these machines working.
To NMS does not provide consumables for the CT scan. We always have now to use that other and the cost-sharing mechanism first obtain the consumables for the MRI and the CT scan.
The committee emphasized that the current 17 billion shillings allocation is insufficient and called for an increase in funding to enhance service delivery at the facility.
So we take note that this budget is too low for Mbara Regional Referral Hospital, considering the population that it does serve. So it's in our interest that we do a bigger bargain for Mbara Regional Referral Hospital, because the area of coverage, these are 12 districts.
Mbara Regional Referral Hospital serves a population of over 6 million people, including refugees from 2 settlements. Rebecca Natongo, Gloria Gutabinji at Parliament.
You have so...
The prominent Teso-based lawyer Joshua Okello has launched a nationwide media campaign rallying support for Anita Among as Speaker of the forthcoming 12th Parliament. The initiative will feature a series of radio programs and television talk shows designed to spark national dialogue around leadership in Parliament.
Okello unveiled the media campaign, describing it as a broad civic engagement effort designed to encourage incoming legislators to support Anita Among's candidacy for Speaker of the 12th Parliament.
The goal is to reach every corner of the country, and most importantly, to urge our incoming legislators to recognize the stability and vision she brings to the House. The tour is more than a political endorsement.
In his remarks, Okello strongly endorsed Anita, calling her, quote, the only matchstick in the matchbox, a symbol he used to emphasize her uniqueness and suitability for the role.
A matchbox is an unassuming tool, but within it lies the potential for immense energy, light, and purpose, like the iconic 164 scale match cars, which represent a diverse range of power models from classics to modern workhorse.
He argued that Among's leadership and vision have shaped the current House and should be acknowledged and reinforced by legislators as they prepare for the next parliamentary term.
She has stood as a symbol of unity and collaboration in the House. So we have to understand that, and also proving that she is not just a leader by chance, but by overwhelming mandate of over 400 members of parliament.
The campaign extends beyond a mere political endorsement. It seeks to foster thoughtful participation in national governance while promoting continuity in parliamentary leadership. Sandra Kahundi, Joseph Okol, News Tonight.
Thank you so much, Lord.
The only matchstick in the box is a new one that I've heard, but, well, now we learn every day. In more news this evening, Toro Kingdom and Uganda Bureau of Statistics has signed a memorandum of understanding to enhance data sharing and cooperation. The memorandum of understanding was signed by Toro Kingdom's Prime Minister Calvin Armstrong Romide and the ED, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Dr. Chris Mukiza, at Statistics House in Kampala. Dr. Chris Mukiza, the Executive Director of Uganda Bureau of Statistics, emphasized the importance of reliable data for decision-making and economic growth for betterment of government.
In efforts to improve data collection, Toro Kingdom and Uganda Bureau of Statistics has signed a memorandum of understanding that will significantly help building a strong statistical system. Chris Mukiza, Executive Director, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, emphasized that the MOU will play a vital role in collecting accurate, reliable, and timely data to enhance statistical capacity and data governance within the kingdom.
The administrative data is the data that you generate by your administrative or operational actions. And that's where much of activities are taking place. So the MOU will help us regionalize and modernize the data and statistics from the administrative actions. He has told you we need to digitize whatever we do. Inform, it brings efficiency. Secondly, it also helps in sustaining our planet.
Chris further explained that both organizations will appoint focal persons to facilitate coordination.
You know that we have 201 data points in SDG that we are supposed to report on. However, we are at 148 now. The difference of 53 will be got by harnessing administrative data from these institutions.
Calvin Armstrong Romire, Toro Kingdom Prime Minister, says the MOU will support the kingdom with proper planning and support evidence-based policies for the development of the kingdom.
And I'm glad that out of this meeting we're going to be talking on timelines to ensure that the MOU is signed, working relationships with our units, both in Fort Portal but also on grassroots, where we are putting up incubation centers, and would really appreciate having your support.
UBOS is also set to establish data statistical units in Bunyoro, Bugisu, Busoga, Kwaradora, among others, with hope to further collaboration with Interreligious Council. The partnership reflects a shared commitment to capacity development, joint research, and supporting sustainable development in the kingdom. Helen Barbara Jizamba, reporting for ABC TV.
Now, in more news this evening, a mixed picture is emerging in the performance of biology in Uganda following new findings released by Makerere University. At a dissemination workshop which took place this morning, key education stakeholders, including officials from the National Curriculum Development Center, the Uganda National Examination Board, and the Commissioner for Secondary Education from the Ministry of Education and Sports, gathered to review nearly 5 decades of performance trends.
The study reveals that biology performance at A level has historically remained below expectations, with past results showing extremely low distinctions, including only one student scoring an A nationwide in 2018.
In 4 regions, the Central region, the Eastern region, the Northern region, and the other one was the Central region, 4 regions. And from here we visited at least 100 schools. Altogether, we had about, actually more than 5,000 respondents giving information to us. And I said it is worse in those regions, like Karamoja, the Northern region, and the Eastern region. It is the second after Northern region, yes. The Eastern region is also bad off.
However, recent improvements observed in the 2025 USCE results signal a positive shift. University officials attribute this progress to increased investment in science education, curriculum reforms, and strengthened research.
The biology project is tackling improvement because there has been issues coming from the ministry and also from schools, but the performance is very poor. So as an academic institution, higher learning, we are trying to question why this is happening. This is happening because of the teacher who are teaching. This is happening because of the subject or relationship with others and many other things.
Current improvement, especially for this year, which has shocked, it has been almost a surprise to people. It is because of the impact of this study, because as we have been moving around the entire country, we have not only been collecting data, information from them, we have also been advocating on how best they can improve the performance, and they have done it.
Despite this, challenges such as limited laboratory infrastructure, gaps in teacher capacity, and student attitudes toward biology continue to affect outcomes.
We shall make arrangement that you present this, the report of these findings to the senior management of Ministry of Education, because I've seen we have a number of policy issues to pick from this report.
Makerere says the next phase will focus on practical interventions to address these gaps. Sandra Kahunde, Proskovia Chontawire, News Tonight.
The Presidential Advisor on Security, Lieutenant General Proskovia Nalweso, has donated 5 cows to support Muslims as they prepare for Eid al-Fitr prayers tomorrow. The donation was delivered on her behalf by Haji Sulaiman Semakula at Masjid Jamida Mosque in Bukesa in Kampala.
As Muslims around the world prepare for Eid al-Fitr prayers, veteran military officer and presidential advisor on security, Lieutenant General Proskovia Nalweso, has donated 5 cows as Eid gifts to Muslims in Kampala.
Fegamba nti omuntu atasobola kusiima munne tasobola na kusiima Katonda. Bw'oba tosobodde kusiima General Proskovia Nalweso kyatukoledde leero, kitegeeza tolina ddiini ku mutima gwo. Nalweso tatera nnyo kwagala musimira mu kamera ng'akoze ebintu bye, naye nze njagadde nkikole.
Handing over the package on behalf of Nalweso, Haji Sulaiman Semakula said the relationship between religious communities and the government has grown stronger over time. Haji Sulaiman Semakula urged the Muslims to continue supporting and cooperating with the government in order to benefit from its programs and services.
Kirungi nnyo okusima omuntu ng'akyaliwo, tukwebaza General Proscovia Narweso, twebaza President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni olw'eddembe lye mutuleetedde mu Uganda. Nkubiriza abantu bonna ogenda okukola, teri mukulembeze agenda kuteeka ssente mu nsawo. Ne mu America teri mukulembeze agaba ssente, naye President Museveni agaba ssente za PDM. Era neebaza nnyo abasiraamu mwenna baamulonda, mbagaliza Eid ennungi.
Sheikh Ismail Semwanga, speaking on behalf of the beneficiaries, expressed gratitude to Lieutenant General Narweso and President Museveni for their generosity and support. He also encouraged the faithful to uphold good morals and discipline even after the fasting period ends.
Mu Buganda bagamba nti akuwa gokola ki gwowa, naffe tutwala okwebaza kwaffe n'okusima kwaffe eri ow'ekitiibwa General Proscovia Narweso olw'okubeera nga atulabawo. Kanjogere mu njogera ennaku zino kubanga Ramadan yali etandika yatuwa ebisiibula abasiraamu ne ku nkomero yagenda nti ate abaddu bange babadde basiiba, abaddu ba Allah babadde basiiba ate balina okusiibuluka. Naga nti enva zizina azituwadde nti ennungi, nti alhamdulillah tusaba Mungu abeere nga amukuumira ebintu bye.
Amwaiva Njuko for UBC.
UBC News Tonight takes a very short break, but we'll come back with more stories after these messages.
So, Muchara.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight. Huh? For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later. Huh?
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get Momo goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165*80# or use the Momo app.
It's back, bigger and with more business opportunities. It's the Pearl of Africa Tourism Expo, Poate 2026, Uganda's flagship tourism event. Poate 2026 will take place from the 21st to the 23rd of May 2026 at the Speak Resort Convention Center, Munyonyo, under the theme Wanderlust. It's your time to thrive. Yes, it's your time to tap into Uganda's renewed optimism and tourism growth. Tourism stakeholders, travel trade partners, and tourism enthusiasts will be part of the Poate 2026. Come and network with like-minded people and unlock new business opportunities. To participate, register at www.poate.co.ug. Poate 2026 is brought to you by Uganda Tourism Board and partners.
Welcome back from that break. Uganda has taken a major step towards improving waste management with the development of a national organic waste management strategy, spearheaded by the National Environment Management Authority, Acting Executive Director Francis Sabino Ogwal. Well, he emphasized that waste generation is an unavoidable reality driven by population growth and daily human activity.
The project, which began in February 2024, focuses on developing a comprehensive national framework to better manage organic waste, which contributes significantly to greenhouse gas emissions.
The population of this country has increased, and therefore the waste that was generated maybe in 2000 or 2010, 2020, it is not slowing down. There's no way it is getting less. It is only becoming more and more, and therefore meaning management of waste also becoming more challenging. So this is something I wanted us first to appreciate, that waste now is a reality we have to deal with. It's also becoming like climate change now.
Officials say the strategy aligns with existing environmental policies in Uganda and complement the country's broader climate and air quality goals.
And so apart from ensuring clean and healthy environment through the ordinary environment and environmental sanitation, we're looking at quality air for every Ugandan, everybody in Uganda. And so the issue for air pollution control through reduced methane emissions is one of the core purposes for this project.
Key achievements include the creation of a national organic waste strategy, now submitted to Government of Uganda for endorsement. The National Environment Management Authority is currently reviewing the framework to ensure it meets national standards.
So the idea with this strategy, and not only the strategy but the whole process that we have been carrying out, is to improve, to provide a framework on how the country could improve the situation and how this can be implementable, not at local levels as well. So
experts estimate that improved organic waste practices, such as composting and better landfill management, could reduce emissions by up to 1.2 million tons of carbon dioxide by 2035.
The country is recommended to work on improving the landfills, convert them to sanitary landfills when possible, and not close the ones that are not possible to upgrade. Also start working on the organic waste separation and segregation, like in transport.
So we are carrying out a campaign on segregation at source, and this has to go through the whole chain, at source, the transport sector, and where it's dumped. So we are working with different partners.
However, challenges remain, particularly in securing sufficient funding and coordinating existing waste management initiatives across the country. Mary Namkose, UBC News.
Uganda's oil and gas journey is steadily moving forward. Fast oil, but long before the first barrel is produced, lives are already being transformed. In the heart of the Albertine Graben, the Total Energies EP-Uganda operated Tilenga project in Bulisa district is not only developing oil fields, it's investing in people. We track the progressive impact of the Tilenga oil project on communities in the Albertine region.
In workshops across Hoima and Bulisa, the hum of sewing machines, the clang of carpentry tools, and the revving of motorcycle engines tell a story of transition from uncertainty to self-reliance. Through its livelihood restoration program, Tilenga has trained over 1,000 beneficiaries in hands-on skills including tailoring, carpentry, mechanics, welding, hairdressing, agribusiness, and entrepreneurship. Many of the trainees are project-affected persons rebuilding their economic stability. Achen Monica, a resident of Hoima district, is one of them. Once uncertain about her future after land acquisition processes began, today she runs a growing tailoring business.
I benefited a lot from Total Energies. I was trained, then given internship opportunity. Now I am able to properly use my sewing machine. It has enabled me to make money, to buy foodstuff, and also improve my livelihood.
For Monica, the training was more than learning how to stitch gametes. It was about restoring dignity and independence. Augustine Oketh and Patrick Oteam share a similar story of transformation. Oketh is now a certified motorcycle mechanic serving riders in his community, while Oteam has established himself as a professional carpenter, producing furniture for local households and schools.
I have managed to build a better house. My income was initially very low, but it improved over time. After attaining this skill, these days I make around 400,000 to 500,000 shillings per month. I thank the government of Uganda and Total Energies for empowering us.
These individual stories reflect a broader strategy. The Tilenga project, one of Uganda's upstream oil developments located in Bulisa and Noya districts, is part of the country's commercial oil production plan, expected to deliver an estimated 190,000 barrels of oil per day at peak production. But beyond production targets, the emphasis has also been on national content and local capacity building. Philippe Grox, the general manager of Total Energies EP-Uganda, says community empowerment remains central to the company's sustainability agenda.
This first part, which is the training at UP, will be followed by other sessions in international oil and gas training center and also with hands-on experience directly on the Tilenga project during the commissioning phase.
Uganda's Minister of Energy and Mineral Development, Ruth Nankabirwa, notes that oil and gas development must translate into tangible benefits for ordinary citizens.
And Ugandans out there must know that very soon you will have experts who are Ugandans, because these foreign expatriates have trained them, retrained them, they have impacted technology and skills, and they have prepared them for further participation.
And we compensated the project-affected persons, but we didn't stop at that. As part of this compensation and the resettlement, we had a robust livelihood restoration program.
Beyond skilling, Tilenga has invested significantly in education infrastructure within its operational areas. Dozens of classrooms have been constructed or rehabilitated, sanitary facilities upgraded, and scholarships awarded to bright but underprivileged learners.
This scholarship brought peace in our family, unity and cooperation.
As Uganda awaits its fast oil expected to position the country among Africa's oil producers, the social and economic dividends are already visible at the grassroots. From sewing machines in Hoima to carpentry workshops in Bulisa, the promise of sustainably exploiting Uganda's natural resources for inclusive growth is steadily taking shape, one skilled hand at a time.
Over 1,000 Ugandan Muslims have received their visas and are now set for the official pilgrimage to Mecca and Medina in Saudi Arabia. The Uganda Bureau of Hajj Affairs says the entire process has been smooth, assuring that no Muslim pilgrim will be left behind this year. We have the details.
Every year, millions of Muslims across the world travel to the holy cities of Mecca and Medina in Saudi Arabia to fulfill the religious obligation of Hajj, one of the 5 pillars of Islam. The Uganda Bureau of Hajj Affairs has officially handed over visas to accredited travel agencies responsible for facilitating the pilgrim's journey. The chairperson of the Uganda Bureau of Hajj Affairs, Sheikh Zakaria Chewalyanga, says over 1,000 Ugandan Muslims are expected to perform Hajj this year, noting that the visa processing and preparations have progressed smoothly with few major challenges.
That today officially we are releasing the visas for this Hajj season 2026. With only 2 days for the system to close, the process of issuing Hajj visas for this year. But according to the system, once it closes, it becomes very difficult for it to reopen for those who come late.
However, he adds that there are new adjustments introduced due to the current global security situation, urging pilgrims to remain patient, cooperative, and adhere to all guidelines issued by both Ugandan and Saudi authorities.
The new issues that we are introduced in the system, which were not there in the past, in the previous year. One of them is the fee for medical supervision. The Bureau has managed to pay $57 reals for each pilgrim for medical supervision. Going to Mecca this year, if one of the officers tells you that you have to increase, you have to make an excess payment of what? Of $100 in order to cover that, you should not hesitate to do what? to pay that amount.
Officials also cautioned against individuals who misrepresent themselves as authorized agents, emphasizing that all arrangements must be done through licensed agencies operating within the law.
Even this year, a total of 89 visas were paid for by the government to different categories of Muslims, imams and others who are traveling to go for what? For Hijjah. And those visas were channeled through the company of Tawakkal and Annual Travels. Therefore, we thank the government and we want to assure you that as we talk now, all the visas now are ready.
Jamil Sekaja compiled the story.
So, Muchara.
Yes, Daddy.
You know the children are going back to school and things are a bit tight. For now, why don't you take half of the fees to junior school, and for the school van contribution, we shall pay later.
Daddy, why don't we pay using MTN Momo, where we stand a chance of winning school fees for a whole year and more? By the way, you can also apply for a school fees loan, and also participating schools can win a school van.
That's right! Win school fees for a whole year and more. Get Momo goodies and a school van for participating schools. You can also apply for a school fees loan. Simply dial *165*80# or use the Momo app.
For 100 years, Nyakasura School has shaped minds, built character, and raised generations of leaders.
My name is Patrick Bidature. I'm the chairman of the alumni, and I am delighted to be telling you today that on the 26th of March, we celebrate something truly extraordinary. We have invited His Excellency the President of Uganda to come and join us as we mark 100 years of this school. So I call upon every old boy to make a contribution. Whatever it takes, let's make this a historic moment.
Send your donation to Equity Bank account 101320303891. For details, contact Samuel Kazova on 0772 636293. Nyakasura School, celebrating 100 years of excellence.
Welcome back from that break, and now into business. Roofings Group has launched an e-commerce platform designed to improve efficiency and customer experience. The initiative addresses long-standing industry challenges and which enhances transparency and also streamlines procurement. This is a shift towards modern, accessible and customer-centric solutions in the regional construction sector.
In today's rapidly evolving construction industry, Roofings Group has taken a bold step towards digital transformation with the launch of its e-commerce platform, designed to enhance efficiency and deliver seamless customer experience. Chairman Dr. Sikalda Lalani, the initiative reflects a forward-looking vision that aligns with global trends, where industries are embracing digital procurement systems to improve service delivery. In partnership with Tech Mahindra, the platform represents a significant milestone, positioning the company at the forefront of innovation within a sector that has largely remained traditional.
They are assured of the pricing, they are assured of the quality and all that. We are behind that to assure that they receive the right quantity, right price and right quality of product. So this is to facilitate anyone who are not living in Kampala to online to order our product.
However, the construction sector has long been challenged by inefficiencies such as limited pricing transparency, dependency on intermediaries, and restricted access for remote and diaspora clients.
If it is secured, most of the time what happens is if you're staying out of the country and you ask somebody to go and purchase, you're not sure whether it is a real price. When say suppose you are in UK, you place an order, you know the price, you know what color, what range you're taking it up. And when you send the person, he will get this one-time password. He can confirm. It's very secure.
The community in Uganda, which is now going so much into online. This is a sector that is still growing, but of course we want to move with the trends. So the online community and the people in the diaspora.
Joseph Arenato Roofing Group Sales and Marketing Manager emphasizes how the platform simplifies the entire sales process through flexible payment options, including mobile money and card transactions at zero additional cost.
So how this is going to help? It is going to help the people who are sending that money to have a direct connection with us, because they are using the money for construction, but in most cases they have been dealing through third parties. So what this will do is it will give us a direct connection with the customer who is abroad.
Sandra Kahunde, Proskovia Chontawaire, News Tonight.
East African economies are called upon to strategize for economic shocks following the escalating conflict involving Iran, the United States and Israel. The situation has raised concerns among policy experts over its far-reaching implications on regional trade, energy security and economic stability.
Ongoing tensions in the Middle East have evolved beyond military confrontation into a global economic concern, with the key energy routes and supply chains increasingly coming under pressure.
Export diversification, and I think for me this is an issue that I've always pressed. We cannot be here and say, Middle East is our major market already. No. There are so many other markets. We have not finished the whole of Africa. We have not gone to South America. We have not, gone to Asia.
The conflict has disrupted major global shipping routes, particularly along the Red Sea, forcing vessels to take longer routes and increasing the cost of imports and exports.
Middle East countries had positioned themselves as hubs, as cargo hubs. So you can imagine that your cargo is coming from China, from Russia, from Europe. It goes through the Middle East and comes to Centenary. So even those who are expecting their goods, the goods are going to delay. But also the price is likely to increase.
Experts warn that this could slow down trade activities at key regional ports including Mombasa, Dar es Salaam and Djibouti, affecting supply chains across the region.
Insecurity and extreme hunger because fertilizer is not moving. For many of African countries and many other countries, this is the summer, the spring to summer break when they do their planting. And now we have no fertilizer, adequate fertilizer flows. So we might see food shortages continue the second half of this year because of this global logistical disruption. Because those ships are not only taking oil, they are also taking fertilizer and other chemicals that are used in the industry.
The rising cost of fuel and logistics is also expected to impact on food security, with higher transportation and production costs likely to push up prices of basic commodities.
Treasury bills in the US have increased. The ones in Uganda are also increasing, already too high for anybody to think of. A 2 to 5 year old is in the range of 15 to 16%, 14-16%. A 10 to 25 year bond are in the range of 16 to 18%. That's already too high for government risk-free borrowing and lending.
Regional leaders under the African Union have since called for restraint and diplomatic solutions, warning that prolonged conflict could destabilize not only the Middle East but also vulnerable economies in Africa.
We could Africa, through the African Union or the RICS, these are regional economic communities, position itself to be a voice of conscience, but also to prosper and be able to stabilize global politics.
The developments have also sparked concerns over possible social unrest as rising living costs continue to put pressure on households across the region. Abudu Nasele Lubwama for UBC.
Now, Ugandans concerned about the rising cost of fuel have been urged to remain calm, with the government assuring the public of a stable and sufficient supply of petroleum products. The Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development says the recent increase in petrol and diesel prices is only temporary and largely driven by external market disruptions. Speaking to UBC, Engineer Irene Batebe, the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Development, said the government through UNOC continues to hold stock that will take the country through March and April despite the ongoing war in the Middle East.
It is important that we once again reassure the nation that we remain well served with petroleum products. Just like the Honorable Minister communicated to the nation through our press release, we continue to hold stocks that will take us for the next couple of months. And why? Because the ships supplying us our product through March and April had already traversed the Strait of Hormuz. But also critically, we have a robust partner, Vito, that is partnering with UNOC, and they continue to look beyond supplies through the Strait of Hormuz to ensure that the country remains supplied. Therefore, if at all there is any price appreciation in the market, on the petrol stations, this is superficial. And the Honorable Minister issued clear warning to the oil marketing companies, indicating that following UNOC's participation in the sole bulk importation business, where it is the government through the National Oil Company importing product up to Eldoret, and we are the ones supplying the oil marketing companies, we have not changed any product pricing up to Eldoret for the supplies that continue coming into the market. Of course, we continue to monitor the conflict, and we continue to study what the implications could be after April. And as these matters evolve, we will keep the nation updated on the circumstances. But for now, through March and April, the country is assured of sufficient supply of petroleum products, and we wanted to provide that assurance.
The Ministry of Works and Transport has officially launched the General Specifications for Road and Bridge Works 2026, aiming at guiding, planning, design, construction and maintenance of public roads and bridges in Uganda. These general specifications are both technical documents and instruments that are set out to the minimum requirements for quality, safety and performance in the country's roadworks.
According to the ministry, the updated specifications will streamline engineering practice, improve quality control, and ensure accountability and infrastructure development. Minister for Works and Transport, General Edward Katumba Wamala, has launched the general specifications for Road and Bridge Works 2026 and has tasked the engineer in charge to ensure wide dissemination of all specifications across the country.
The general specifications for Road and Bridges Works 2026 provide a solid foundation for improving the quality, safety, and efficiency of road construction across the country, so that in case somebody is doing swamp treatment in Padre, it should not be different from one doing it in Kabale. It should be the same, it should be uniform, because the specifications are clear, and if properly followed, then we should not have different standards in different areas or by different contractors. While these specifications serve as the national standard for public road works, I wish to emphasize that special specifications may be developed where necessary for specific projects, particularly where innovative technologies or materials are proposed. However, any deviations from the general specifications must receive prior approval.
The engineer in charge, Stephen Chiwanuka Chitonsa, said the new standards are intended to ensure that roads and bridges are durable, safe and resilient, while also delivering better value for money in public investments. He further emphasized that these applications must be in line with law and hand over to the Ministry of Works and Transport for approval.
Purpose and importance of general specifications for road and bridge works 2026. The general specifications for road and bridge works 2026 set out the minimum standards for materials and workmanship for the planning, design, construction, and maintenance of public roads and bridges in Uganda. They define the requirements that all road works must meet in order to achieve safe, durable, and serviceable infrastructure that supports our national development agenda.
Tony Mugenyi, a commissioner at the ministry, presented the new specifications, emphasizing that they would play a key role in improving the lifespan and performance in Uganda's road network.
Then we provided for mechanical modification classes. There's a lot of mechanical modification, mixing gravel with quarry dust, mixing gravel with CRR. Then we have swamp treatment methods. In the old specification, the only swamp treatment method was rock fill. Very, very expensive.
The Permanent Secretary, Minister of Works and Transport, Bageya Waiswa, has urged stakeholders to embrace these specifications, to incorporate them in their contracts, designs, and to work closely with the Minister of Works and Transport to address any implementation challenge that may arise.
Therefore, urge all our stakeholders to embrace these specifications, to incorporate them in our contracts, and design and work closely with the Ministry of Works and Transport to address any implementation challenges that may arise.
Deborah Namamonde, Aisha Msanya, UBC News.
Uganda, get ready for an unforgettable experience. Join thousands of runners and culture lovers at the Mbarara City Marathon 2026, happening Saturday, the 28th of March 2026, starting at 6 a.m. at Mogaba Palace, Kamukuzi in Mbarara City. This year's theme proudly celebrates the biggest culture and heritage of the long-horned cattle in the land of honey and milk, a symbol of identity, pride, and tradition in Uganda. Come and run through the cultural heartland where heritage meets tourism and sport. Choose your race: 42 kilometers, 21 kilometers, 10 kilometers, or 5 kilometers. The guest of honor will be the Minister for Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities, highlighting Uganda's rich culture and tourism. Register today and get your marathon kit at www.mbararacitymarathon.com or dial *272 *11#. Proudly sponsored by Tusker Light, Grace and Family Concepts, Ministry of Tourism, Wildlife and Antiquities Uganda, Nyakayojo Sacco, Explore Uganda, Textile and Prom Home, Uganda Broadcasting Corporation, Emburada Farm Lodge, Country Cinema, Arch Motors, and many more. For more information, call 0785 408 422. Mbarara City Marathon 2026, running to celebrate the culture and heritage of the long-horned cattle in the land of honey and milk.
Welcome back, and now into sports. Ugandans have been called upon to participate in a unique fundraising initiative aimed at supporting disadvantaged children and young women through sports. The campaign, dubbed Race for Equality, will feature bicycle races involving riders from Nachivale refugee settlement, highlighting both talent and resilience while raising funds to promote equal opportunities and empowerment within vulnerable communities.
The initiative will bring together cyclists, including participants from Nachivale refugee settlement, to raise funds under the theme Race for Equality. Ronald Kabuye, Director of Brass for Africa Uganda, is calling on Ugandans to take part in the upcoming cycling fundraising event.
The campaign is aimed at you being fit, living healthy, but also shining a light and advocating for equality for young girls and women, but also for persons living with disabilities and refugees.
Proceeds from the races will go towards supporting more than 300 disadvantaged children and young women.
Here we shall be welcoming the Pearl Riders or cyclists, 11 of them that are cycling from Nachivale refugee settlement there up to here in Kampala at the Brass Africa headquarters, covering over 300 kilometers, while championing change, while becoming fitter, but also raising a voice and raising primary beneficiaries of the Race for Equality campaign. This year is the girls and young women, the persons living disabilities, and also the refugees in the Bidibidi refugee settlement where we work.
According to Ronald Kabuye, the event promotes inclusivity, unity and community empowerment and is scheduled for the 20th to 22nd of this month.
Campaign, even though it's a race campaign where other people take on other challenges like swimming, walking, gym and all rope skipping and all the other things, the campaign also is there to advocate, to shine a light, to be able to show that if you give an opportunity to the girls and young women, if you give an opportunity to people facing inequality, they can be able to change the world and have a brighter future. As an organization, over the 5 years of this campaign, we've seen a lot of impact among the people that benefit from it.
And that's all we had for you this evening in our first edition of UBC News Tonight. But just to remind you, we do have another edition at 10 o'clock you do not want to miss. But before we leave, there's been a lot of confusion among Ugandans about tomorrow being a public holiday. But here is an official statement from the Ministry of Public Service towards the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. And this is in relation of tomorrow, the 20th of March, being a public holiday. And this is an official announcement, and it reads as follows. This is to request you to relay the following announcement on Uganda Broadcasting Corporation Network. The Honourable Minister of Public Service informs the general public that tomorrow, Friday, the 20th of March 2026, is Eid al-Fitr and will be observed as a public holiday throughout Uganda. Signed, the Permanent Secretary, Catherine Bitarakwate Musingwire. I hope that keeps everybody's heart at rest. Tomorrow is indeed a public holiday. I'm Lauryn Masika Kazimoto and my colleague Dorothy Namoyomba. We will see you at 10.